So, Matt Wilson, from hip-hop and skate photography to wine photography. How was your transition? Why did you start working in wine as a photographer? And how do you approach your subjects differently to you might with a hip-hop star?
Well, I got into wine photography by marrying into it. It was not through any particular love of wine, which is probably 99% of other journalists and photographers of wine. I met a winemaker, fell in love, moved to Chile, and from music photography, the music scene in Chile was not really happening for me. And all the people that I met through my wife were winemakers or wine producers, winery owners. So I started just hanging out with those people and photographing them. And I took a portrait of a guy called Grant Phelps that won a competition in Decanter in 2007 or 2006. And that's sort of everybody, who's this guy? Because my style, I find the photography of the wine very conservative, and I can't do that. I can't do sort of serious photography, which maybe isn't always a good thing, but that's my sort of outlook is not serious. I can't. To me, wine, and I know it's a serious side, and I understand that, and I'm not saying that's wrong, but my side of the wine is it's about fun, family, friends, and maybe being a bit crazy.
Excellent, capturing those social moments.
Yeah.
And so you've worked for several different wine magazines as well as travel photography too and books. Have you got any projects in the past few years that have really stood out for you? Something that you're particularly proud to have worked on?
I mean, I do. I have a contract with Condé Nast, and I do not that often, one a year, a travel story with Vanity Fair. Which I like doing those. Travel I like doing, and it has a bit of food and wine incorporated. And I now have started making videos, wine videos, which is quite a lot of my work now. I use drones
and how have you found that transition from photography to video? And also, you know, people often say that wine is so hard to capture on video. What is your kind of approach to bring it to life on the screen as well as the page?
Well, I kind of sort of live by the philosophy that the extreme creates an impression. You know, I never photograph someone with their nose in a glass of wine or holding a bottle. Those are kind of a big nose for me. So I kind of try and make it more lifestyle. My photography is more, and the videography as well. I've started working with James Suckling, doing his South American videos, and he seems to like the way I go. I do drone shots very fast, sweeping shots. I get very close. I do action. I can't do still sort of shots on video. And the same as my photography. My sort of Matt Wilson wine photography is often a bit crazy, wine getting thrown around.
Excellent. I know, I've seen some.
You've been in some.
And are there any projects that you're particularly looking forward to working on in the next year? I know you're working on a particular book about terroir. Is there anything that you want to share with members? What's coming up for Matt Wilson in 2019?
Well, I've been collaborating a little bit, not the whole book, but Pedro Parra, who's I'm sure most people will know him better than me. But he's doing a book on a global wine, and I've been shooting for that a bit. And it's a lot of it's shooting calicatas or soil profiles.
And how do you find shooting a soil profile? What's the challenge?
The challenge is kind of, to me, as someone that's not important. So I've got to make that make sense to journalists and people who are into terroir, who they know about decomposing granite or clay or chalk, which isn't my interest in wine photography. So I've got to make the wine people understand that. And it helps having a wife who's a winemaker who can say, that's really good because that shows how the roots can go down and get the water, or that's not good because it's not showing. So I use my wife as my sort of Cali Cat, a soil profile consultant.
Super. And you obviously, with your wife, Andrea, you live here in Colchagua, in a beautiful wine region of Chile. Can you tell us what is life like living in Chile's wine region of Colchagua?
Very different to what I'm used to. I've never lived in the country before. I've lived in New York, Los Angeles, Paris, London, Philadelphia, and I'm now sort of in my 50s, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying living in the country. We've got a lovely house, a big garden, swimming pool. I've got kids growing up, and I'm enjoying that kind of quiet. My twilight years. I don't know.
It's a bit early for your twilight years.
But okay. I'm enjoying it, and it is a lovely region, and and Chile. This region has changed a lot. I've been in Colchagua over 10 years, and there's much better restaurants now, which was, there was only one or two when I first moved here. We can go out to 15 different restaurants, which is nice.
Super. And drink lots of wines, which now you appreciate.
Which we highly appreciate.
Wonderful. Thank you, Matt.